Chapter 11 is called Harmony Outside of the Box. Now you remember back in the earlier chapters we talked about the different families of chords. You've got your close family of chords. These would be like mom, dad, brother, and sister. These are the chords that are built on the notes of the major scale. So you've got your primary triads, your secondary triads, and these are the chords you live with every day. You know, you're in the house together, you use them all the time. Then we talked about the extended family of chords. These would be chords that extend beyond the octave, like first we added sevenths, and then beyond the octave, the ninths, the 11ths, and the 13ths. Oh, these would be like your extended family, grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and cousins. They don't exactly live in the house with you. You don't deal with them every day, but definitely they're part of the chord family. You use them all the time, and they feel like family. Now we're going to go and talk outside of the box. We're going to go to two other families of chords, altered chords and borrowed chords. And if you think about these like circles, you know, your close family is the small circle. The extended family is a little bit bigger circle around that. The altered chords, this is a circle that's even a little bit wider. Think about it this way. You might have members of your close family, and maybe your big brother, he goes away to college and he comes back, you know, with a beard or with an earring or a tattoo or something like that. He's still your brother. He's still part of that close family, but he's been altered somehow. So we're going to talk about those altered chords next. Let's take a look at the first altered chord. This is the major triad with the raised fifth. Now, we're going to build it on C. Now you might look at that triad and say, well, wait a minute, isn't that just an augmented triad? And the answer is yes. A C major sharp 5 is the same as a C augmented. It's just two different names for the same thing. There's your C major triad, and there's the sharp 5. So it's just like the augmented triad we talked about. Now, it is worth saying that the term augmented can be used in several different ways, so sometimes it's a little clearer just to say C sharp 5. That's the way a jazz guy would refer to it. Now, just thinking of modern worship songs, you guys probably know the song by Matt Redman, So I'll let my words be few. That's a perfect example of using that sharp 5 chord in a walking motion. You see it there? I've got it inverted here. I'll do it in root position up here. So that's a C major. So I'll let, C augmented, my words be few. So it's just kind of chromatically, remember the chromatic scale from before? It's chromatically walking up from C major. There's the sharp 5 alteration up to a C6. Another song that everybody would recognize, if you think of the classic hymn, Then sings my soul. There's the C augmented, my Savior God to thee. So this is a classic case of using the sharp 5 chord to pull really hard from the 1 to the 4. In this case, from the C to the F. So here's the C chord. Thus sings my soul. There it is. Pulls you really hard toward the F. My Savior God to thee. You see? Now another popular place where you see this sharp 5 chord show up is when it's used on the dominant. So in other words, we're still in the key of C. The dominant is the 5. So if you build that chord on on G, there's a G triad. There's the G sharp 5. Now if you make that a G7 sharp 5, let's go back. Here's G, there's G7. Just think of whoa, darling. So that chord is a kind of a classic chord that's used on the dominant. That would be a G7 sharp 5. So that sharp 5 alteration, that's the first one that you need to know. So just like we have one alteration that raises the 5th, there's also an alteration called C flat 5, which involves lowering the 5th. There's your C major triad. You can raise the 5th, or you can lower the 5th. See that? One example that comes to mind, again, this is one of those chords that shows up actually probably more on the dominant. So let's go in the key of C, let's go down to G. There's your G triad. There's your G flat 5. Now when I was growing up, the first time I heard this chord and I had to run to the piano and identify was a song by Stevie Wonder called Superstitious, which is in the key of E, so I'm going to E. When you get to the bridge of that song, it goes to B7, C7 flat 5, there's the chord. Here's another one, B flat 7 flat 5. If you believe in things. So that's an example of a C7 flat 5 chord.